Lead your clan to its glory by assigning your people to their posts for resources and sweet victory points with clever dice drafting over the Jimmy sky in the White Castle.
And today we'll be teaching you how to play the White Castle, game designed by Isra and Shei and published by Devia Games.
And hello everyone, it's Stella.
And Tarrant from Meeple University.
Let's go to the classroom.
In the White Castle, players are local clans in 18th century Japan, doing their best to earn the favour of the daimyo who lives in the local White Castle. Players will draft and place dice and gain and manage resources to try to get as many of their own clan members in the inner sanctum as they can. Gardeners in the gardens, warriors in the battlefields, and courtiers in the rooms of the castle. Players will also work to increase their influence, all in the aim of gaining victory points, the red fan representing points gained during the game, and the gold fan points at the end. The game plays over 3 rounds, and whoever scores the most points will win. To set up, give each player a player board, 3 wooden resource cubes, and all of their coloured wooden pieces. Resource cubes track resources in these 3 tracks: food, iron, and mother of pearl. The meeples are stacked in these spaces: 5 courtier meeples in the first row, 5 gardeners in the second row, and 5 warriors in the third row. The main board needs to be seeded with a number of cards and tokens to enable a variable setup from game to game. Along the left are the gardens, where you'll place the 3 coloured bridges. Beneath each bridge is a space for a plant garden and a stone garden. Shuffle up the relevant cards and then deal 1 card of each type face up into each space. Return leftovers to the box. In the centre is the castle, broken up into 3 tiers. In the top tier, shuffle up the daimyo cards, deal 1 face up and return the rest to the box. For the lower 2, find the cards with these backs, remove any which show this diamond in a 2-player game, shuffle and place the rest onto these spaces, and deal 1 card face up onto each slot of its row. Check all of the dark coloured banners on these tiles and make sure you can see at least 1 of each of these 3 icons. If not, repeat the process until the result is legal. Find the 15 little square tiles and choose 1 at random of each colour die. Shuffle them up and then place 1 on each of these 3 diamond spaces. Of the remaining 12, place 10 on these 10 numbered spaces, being sure that each of the 5 rooms has at least 2 different colours in it. Flip the remaining 2 tokens over to the resource side and place them in this area known as the well. Then in the training yard area, shuffle the 8 training yard tiles, take 4 of them, and then place them either blue or yellow side up in these 4 slots. Return the leftovers to the box. Choose your starting turn order and place the heron markers in the appropriate order. Stack the influence markers at 0 on this track in the same order, with the first player on top. Players' score markers begin near the board at 0. Keep supplies of coins and daimyo seals nearby for later use, and place the round marker at round 1. Next, determine starting resources. From the orange and yellow decks, deal out a number of cards equal to the number of players plus 1, grouping them into pairs. In reverse turn order, each player drafts 1 pair of cards. All the rest can be returned to the box. Gain all of the resources depicted on the orange card. Here it's 2 coins, 2 daimyo seals, 1 resource of your choice, and 1 decree card. Take this from the supply and place it into this slot. These are distributed only in setup. Any that aren't used are returned to the box. Now also flip your orange card and place it horizontally in this slot. Now place your yellow action card face up in this box. Finally, set up the dice and you'll resolve this step prior to each of the 3 rounds. Take a number of dice per colour equal to 1 more than the number of players, and then roll the dice. In each colour, arrange them from lowest to highest. And then on each bridge, place the lowest on the left step, the highest on the right step, and any others in order in the middle. The round is set up and you're now ready to play. The White Castle is played in 3 rounds. In each round, each player will take 3 turns, taken in turn order. A player turn is broken into 4 steps. The first step is to choose one of the dice, which is either on the leftmost step or the rightmost step, of one of the bridges to draft. Move the nearest die from the middle of the bridge onto the step that you made empty if there is still a die on the middle of the bridge. Secondly, you must place that die onto a valid die placement space, and you may then have to pay or gain coins. There are 11 different action spaces and 4 different types. These 5 actions are located in the castle. These 2 actions are located outside the wall. This action space is called the well. And you have 3 personal action spaces on your player board. The 5 castle action spaces are limited to dice whose colour matches at least one of the die tokens next to them. So this white die could be placed in one of these 4 spaces, but not in this 5th space. Each of these spaces may hold only 1 die in a 2-player game, or 2 dice in a 3 or 4-player game with the second die stacked atop the first. The outside the wall action spaces work exactly the same way, except with no colour restriction. Player board action spaces are limited only to dice of the depicted colour and cannot be stacked at any player count. Only 1 die may go in each space. And finally, the well can hold any number of dice of any colour. The dice aren't stacked, they're simply moved off to the side once they've been resolved. Then, having placed your die, either gain or spend money equal to the difference between the number on the die you placed and the number that you covered. And that could be either printed or on another die. If the die is higher, you gain the coins, so this placement would grant the player 1 coin. If your die is lower, you have to pay, so placing this die on top of this other 5 would require the player to spend 1 coin. Place on a matching number and no money changes hands. If you don't have enough money to make a certain placement, then you cannot make that placement. The third step of your turn is to get a lantern bonus if the die you took came from the leftmost space of the bridge. This is where the costs balance out. The low dice will generally require more money to place, but will grant you your lantern bonus. Gain all the resources and rewards printed on your horizontal cards next to your lantern icon. Finally, you'll take any or all of the valid actions in the location you've chosen, in any order. When you place your die in the castle, take the action or actions printed next to the matching coloured die icon. This die would allow these 2 actions. Most of the light coloured actions on castle spaces are about gaining resources. If you gain one of the 3 main resources, food, iron, or mother of pearl, advance the corresponding marker on its track. You can hold at most 7 of each of these resources. If you gain a daimyo seal, place it onto one of these 5 slots at the top of your board. You can have at most 5. There's no limit to the amount of money that you can collect. All of these resources will need to be spent in different combinations on other actions. And do note that at any time you can spend 1 daimyo seal to gain a coin, or 2 to gain a basic resource. An action may allow you to claim your lantern bonus, the same way you would have if you'd taken the lowest die from a bridge. You may gain immediate victory points, in which case mark them on the scoring track. You may gain the heron icon, letting you advance your marker that many steps along the passage of time track. If you land on the same space as another player, stack your marker on top. And if your action is making you cross one of these 3 spaces, then you must pay the depicted number of daimyo seals to continue your movement. Otherwise, you must stop before the tree. With this action, you can take the well action. The well space is an all-purpose action space where players can go to get resources. Since the printed number is 1 and the dice get moved after they've been placed, it's always a good place you can go to get more money if you're short. Although that part of it is part of the dice placement and not part of the well action. The well action itself is to gain these 3 depicted resources. Here it's a daimyo seal, a mother of pearl, and then 1 resource of your choice. The 3 most important actions involve deploying your meeples onto the map, and they're represented by these 3 circular icons. Deploying a gardener to the bridges, a courtier to the castle, or a warrior to the training yards. One way to take these actions is to place a die into an outside the walls action space, and this will allow you to take one of the 2 adjacent actions. You'll also find them on the dark coloured actions within the castle, and as bonus actions in various other places. To place a gardener, take the leftmost remaining gardener from the middle row of your player board. Choose any one of the 6 gardener spaces which does not already contain one of your gardeners. Other players' gardeners don't matter, so I could, for example, choose here. Pay the food cost depicted on the space, so here it's 4. Then optionally claim the adjacent immediate reward. Here it would be to pay 3 coins to take another place gardener action, following all normal rules and costs. While on the cheaper gardens, it's more likely that you'll simply gain some resources. If you don't use the ability immediately, then the opportunity is lost. The courtier action resolves in 2 optional steps, which may be taken up to once each in either order. You may pay 2 coins to place a new courtier at the gate. Take the leftmost remaining courtier from the top track and place it at the gate. Then you may pay 2 mother of pearl to move one of your courtiers 1 step up the castle, or 5 mother of pearl to move a single courtier 2 steps up the castle. This could be the one you just placed or one already in one of the first or second levels of the castle. All rooms are considered connected. Here I could spend 2 mother of pearl to move this courtier to this room, and multiple courtiers can occupy the same room. If you end your movement in a first or second level room, then you must take the action card placed there. Place the action card onto this space of your player board and move the card which was there down to your lantern section. Next, take one of the light coloured actions on your new card for free and replenish the card from its draw deck. Near the end of the game, if the draw deck is empty, then you don't take the card from the board, you just take its light coloured action. If you end your courtier movement in the top part of the castle, then gain your lantern bonus, and if possible, place your meeple onto an empty slot on this card and gain the bonus. To place a warrior, take the leftmost available warrior from the bottom row of your player board. Place it into any one of the 3 training yards. The number of your own or other players' meeples does not matter. Pay the amount of iron printed in the bottom left corner. Then gain that training yard's immediate action or actions. The action spaces on your player board become more powerful as the game goes on and more icons are uncovered. When you take a player board action, gain all of the depicted resources, starting with the one that is uncovered at the beginning of the game, and all of the resources that you've uncovered. Then take that row's action in the current face-up action card on your board. At the start of the game, this will be the action on your yellow action card that you gained in setup for all 3 rows, but later on this will be the last card you took from the castle. The round ends once each player has taken 3 turns, and at this point there will be 3 dice remaining on the bridges. You'll now rearrange turn order for the next round based on who is furthest ahead on the passage of time track. If tied, whoever is on top is considered ahead. So here red would take first position, then blue, and then green, then yellow. Then after rounds 1 and 2 only, gardeners may get some additional bonuses. For any bridge which has at least 1 die remaining on it, all gardeners beneath that bridge may resolve their immediate actions again. This is done in new turn order. The new first player takes all gardener bonus actions in any order they wish, then the new second player takes all of theirs, and so on down the line. As before, if you're not ready at this point to gain the benefit from that action, then you lose the opportunity. Here, red would get to take this action, then blue would take these two actions in any order, green has no gardeners, and yellow's gardener has no dice on its bridge, so yellow misses out. If any new gardeners are placed as part of these bonus actions, those new gardeners do get their immediate effect from being placed, but they do not get an additional immediate effect for the end of turn. Now gather up all of the dice from bridges and action spaces, re-roll them and reset them as in setup. Then proceed to the next round. The game ends after 3 rounds. You'll reset turn order as normal, but instead of resolving gardener bonus actions, you'll proceed to final scoring. Players gain points for the last section or step reached on the passage of time track. Each gardener gains the points depicted in the lower corner of the space it's placed on. Each courtier gains the points depicted on the space it's placed on, which will be 1, 3, 6 or 10. Warriors gain points for the number of your courtiers inside the castle that they're defending. This excludes courtiers at the gate. Here, the blue player has 3 courtiers in the castle. These warriors and these warriors each score 1 point per courtier, and this warrior scores 2 points per courtier. In this case, a total of 15. Leftover basic resources score points based on where they are in the column, so this would be 2 points for the mother of pearl, 1 point for the iron, and nothing for the food. And leftover daimyo seals and money are added together and score points at a rate of 5 to 1. The player with the highest score wins, and if tied, final turn order as determined at the end of the last round breaks the tie. And that's how to play the White Castle.
Thank you so much for watching. Your like and comments are much appreciated. Subscribe to see what's coming and let us know what games you've been playing. See you next time.